Madam Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 5, printed in Part C of House Report number 113-1, offered by Mr. Duncan of South Carolina.
Pursuant to House Resolution 23, the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Duncan, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, this nation's debt now stands in excess of $16 trillion. This is an amount of debt greater than our nation's economy, exceeding our GDP. And yet, Madam Speaker, we have on the floor today legislation which piles upon our children and grandchildren even greater burdens of debt. Madam Speaker, it's time to end the credit card economics. We simply cannot afford to continue to spend money that we're borrowing from countries like China on line items that we don't need and that Congress isn't constitutionally authorized to spend. Madam Speaker, my amendment strips one such line item out of this bill. This is really low-hanging fruit. You see, the Sandy relief effort was plussed up or increased by $1 million to boost Legal Services Corporation, funding masquerading as disaster relief. And I thought we had a ban on earmarks in this Congress. Why is a bailout for New York lawyers emergency hurricane relief? Even if you believe this is a legitimate government program, which I don't, by the way, but how can you argue with a straight face that spending on lawyers is legitimate emergency spending? Madam Speaker, let me say again, we're $16 trillion in debt. We're $16 trillion in debt, America. We simply cannot afford to continue like this. We cannot keep spending money that we don't have on things that we can't afford, and all the while sending our children and our grandchildren the bill. What part of $16 trillion in debt do y'all not understand? I sincerely hope that my colleagues will take this opportunity to start to get serious about reining in our spending addiction. This amendment is a tiny step in that direction. It's only $1 million. $1 million is brushed off as not a lot of money to haggle over here in Congress, but let me tell you, $1 million is a lot of money to the average American. But in this House, that's barely a blip on the radar screen. This amendment will cut 6% of 1% of 1% of 1% of the federal debt. It isn't that much, but at least it's a start. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, Madam Speaker, and we need to take that step today. This is a program that should no longer exist with federal dollars. This program hasn't been reauthorized by the U.S. Congress since 1980. 33 years. 33 years of unauthorized appropriations, Madam Speaker. Are we going to continue like it's business as usual? The GAO has criticized LSC over its internal controls and lack of accountability in their financial reporting processes and systems. Yet year after year, we keep throwing money at them. We cannot keep doing things the same way and expect other than the same result, deeper and deeper debt, with a bill that my sons and their children, and hopefully my grandchildren and maybe their children will get stuck with. Today, let's at least not throw more good money after bad by wasting another $1 million on an unauthorized giveaway to attorneys. Please support my amendment. It'll strip the $1 million from this bill and prevent any emergency spending to pay for attorneys that should be paid for by private citizens and the private sector. Thank you, and I'll reserve the balance.
The gentleman reserves.